Okay, we're going to continue repairing this image for this assignment. I'm going to scroll. I've scrolled around here. I'm zooming in and out. I've got my zoom tool here. If I hold down the Alt key, I zoom out. If I let go of the Alt key, I zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in on some of these problem areas over here and fix them. So now I've got this big tear in the paper over here, and I need to fix this part right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. Here's the clone stamp tool, and I'm going to make sure that I have a nice kind of soft brush, maybe size 100. That looks pretty good. And I'll do size 65. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, here's my brush size. How do you change your brush size? It's the brackets, the curly braces on the keyboard. Next to the P on your keyboard, if you press them, you can see them go down and then up and change your sizes. And I'm going to take my clone stamp tool and I'm going to hover over this grass area here. I'm going to hold down the Alt key and click once, left click, right? That samples the image from here, and then I'll just place that over here and start painting. And as I start painting, it paints whatever's in the check-marked area where I sampled into the area where I'm painting. All right, and then I do it repeatedly so that I'm constantly resampling. So I'll move over. An easy way to move your image around is to hold down the space bar, and then you can move your image. Right, so I move it over here, and I'll just Alt click here, and then click, and then I'll Alt click here, and then click, and that's replacing what I need right there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Alt click and then click, and that's good. And I will Alt click from here and click and paint. And I'll even Alt click here and then click. All right, and what I need to do now is the problems with the shoulder area are not fixing, and that's because if I look at my layers over here, I've got this shoulder that I pasted above the layer, and so this annoying piece right here is not blending in. So one thing I could do is I could get my brush tool here, my eraser tool, and I could just kind of feather that edge a little bit right there, see if that looks okay. And then I'll turn the eyeball up on the background layer, and with the top layer selected, I'm going to merge this top layer down into this layer so that it's no longer two separate layers. So with the top layer selected, I will do a layer merge down, which is also Control E on your keyboard, merge down, and now that shoulder merges in with the background layer. Now I don't have two layers. And now I can go in with the clone stamp tool and Alt click and then sample and paste. I'm going to use a smaller brush though. First, Alt click and then click, and then maybe Alt click here and try to get rid of that line right there. Maybe I'll Alt click right here and get rid of that line right there. And now if I zoom out, Control minus on my keyboard, you can see that that tear and that shoulder is nicely repaired. I'm going to do the same thing in this corner. Once again, I'll zoom in, hold down the space bar and drag over, and get my clone stamp tool and Alt sample and then click and paint, and it just samples the pixels from one area and replaces them in another. It's a pretty amazing tool, and they've tried to improve on it over and over again, and I don't really see how you can improve on a tool that just works so well out of the box. Whoops, I'll undo that. Window, history, and go back a couple of steps. There we go. So I'll Alt click and sample, and then paste. If you go over the edge here, don't worry. I'm either going to crop this out or put in white here later, so I'm not worried if I go over that edge at all. Alt click and click and Alt click and then paint. Alright, so I'm just fixing this stuff. I'm going to come back, I'm going to fix this area right here, and then I'll come back and do the next video where we'll do some more techniques to make this a fixed up image.